There are many stories of young women being locked up and kidnapped by men for their own need for torture. As we all know, a famous story about the Spanish serial killer Manuel Blanco Romasanta, where he kidnapped and killed several women and children just to make soaps from their body fat. But what if your kidnapper was your own mother? This story is maybe over a century old, but that doesn't make it any less terrifying. One day, in May 1901, the Attorney General of Paris received a strange letter declaring that a prominent family in the city was keeping a dirty secret. The note was handwritten and unsigned, but the Attorney General was so disturbed by its contents that he decided to investigate immediately. According to the anonymous letter, a woman had been held captive under horrific conditions at 21 Rue de la Visitation for 25 years. The letter stated, "Monsieur Attorney General, I have the honor to inform you of an exceptionally serious occurrence. I speak of a spinster who is locked up in a Madame Monsieur's house, half-starved and living on a putrid litter for the past 25 years. In a word, in her own filth." The Attorney General notified local police and asked them to investigate, but nobody expected anything to come of it. According to police who knew the area well, the only two people living at the address mentioned in the letter were Madame Louise Monnier and her son Marcel. Madame Louise Monnier was an upstanding citizen. She lived in an affluent neighborhood. Her late husband Emile had been the head of a local arts faculty. The police were skeptical of the letter's allegations. Still, they recalled the public heartbreak 25 years prior when the Monnier's daughter Blanche Monnier vanished without a trace. Perhaps the letter was a twisted hoax. Then again, what if it was true? Police decided to investigate. Blanche Monnier was born in 1 March 1849. She was a French socialite from a well-respected conservative bourgeois family in Poitiers of old noble origins. She was renowned for her beauty and attracted many potential suitors for marriage. Blanche, who had apparently vanished without a trace 25 years earlier, amazingly enough, the disappearance of a young socialite had somehow taken place without any police investigation or alarm being raised by her own family. Despite the strange nature of the disappearance, no one knows what will happen next, or the heartbreaking story has been hidden for decades. When the police arrived at the Monnier estate, they must have had some misgivings. The wealthy family had a spotless reputation. Madame Monnier was known in Parisian high society for her charitable works. She had even received a community award in recognition of her generous contributions. Her son Marcel had excelled at school and now worked as a respectable lawyer. Described by acquaintances as very gentle and good-natured, the young socialite had simply vanished in the prime of her youth, just as high society suitors had begun to come calling. No one gave much thought to this strange episode any longer, and the family went about their lives as though it had never happened. The police made a customary search of the estate and did not come across anything out of the ordinary, until they noticed a putrid odor coming from one of the upstairs rooms. Upon further investigation, it was revealed that the door had been padlocked shut. Realizing that something was amiss, the police smashed the lock and broke into the room, unprepared for the horrors that lay within. When they entered the room, they found a casement window covered by heavy curtains and coated in a layer of dust. Police could not open the shutters until they removed the hinges. As the sunlight streamed in, the policemen saw that the horrendous odor was due to the rotting scraps of food that had littered the floor surrounding a decrepit bed to which an emaciated woman was chained. In the back corner, covered by a filthy blanket, was a skeletal but still living Blanche Monnier. She was completely naked and lying on a rotten straw mattress, which had been soaked through by urine and feces. She was extremely malnourished, weighing just 55 pounds. The horrified policemen were so overwhelmed by the smell of filth and decay that they were unable to stay in the room more than a few minutes. Blanche had been there for 25 years. She was immediately taken to a hospital, while her mother and brother were placed under arrest. Hospital staff reported that although Blanche was horrendously malnourished, she was quite lucid and remarked, "How lovely it was to breathe fresh air again." Slowly, her whole sad story began to emerge. Now, you guys must be wondering why her own mother locked Blanche Monnier for 25 years. So, here's the backstory. In 1874, at the age of 25, she desired to marry an older lawyer who was not to her mother Lois's liking. She argued that her daughter could not marry a penniless lawyer. Her disapproving mother, angered by her daughter's defiance, locked her in a tiny dark room in the attic of their home. where she kept her secluded for 25 years. Louis Monnier and Blanche's brother Marcel continued on with their daily lives, pretending to mourn Blanche's disappearance. None of her friends knew where she was, and the lawyer who she wished to marry died unexpectedly in 1885. The years came and went, but Blanche Monnier refused to give in. Even after the death of her lover, she was kept locked in her cell, with only rats and lice for company. Over the course of 25 years, neither her brother nor any of the family servants lifted a finger to help her. They would later claim that they were too terrified of the mistress of the house to risk it. 25 years of solitary confinement would reduce anyone's mental capacity. When authorities rescued Blanche, they noted she was unable to speak properly and was completely delirious. The Poitiers police interrogated Madame Monnier and her son Marcel, who initially claimed Blanche was foul, angry, overly excited, and full of rage, essentially justifying her extreme isolation. When authorities took Blanche in, she didn't exhibit any of those features. She was calm and happy when nurses gave her a bath. Eventually, after extended care, Blanche gained weight and could speak short phrases, but her imprisonment caused such deep trauma that she was unable to fully recover. On June 9, 1901, public outrage was so great that an angry mob formed outside of the Monnier house, leading Madame Monnier to suffer a heart attack. She died 15 days after her daughter's liberation. Her brother Marcel Monnier appeared in court and was initially convicted, but later was acquitted on appeal. He was deemed mentally incapacitated, and although the judges criticized his choices, they found that a duty to rescue did not exist in the penal code at the time, with sufficient rule to convict him. Newspapers speculated that her condition had deteriorated after the judge's examination of the case just days before, which caused her to realize the full gravity of what she had done. According to one account, doctors reported that her last words were, "Oh my poor Blanche." Madame Monnier's death basically meant that her son Marcel would stand trial alone for his role in Blanche's imprisonment. Marcel insisted that his mother was mainly responsible, and he had only gone along with her out of filial piety. He also added that his nearsightedness had kept him from seeing how terrible her living conditions actually were. Despite his claims, it's probably not surprising that he needed police protection to keep him safe from the crowds while his case came to trial. Marcel's wife and daughter were targeted as well. Despite their insistence that they had no idea what was happening, after the story erupted, both of them retreated to a convent for their own protection. Ironically, Marcel's daughter, a beautiful 17-year-old socialite, had been engaged to a well-respected French officer, but this was quickly canceled due to the horrendous publicity over the case. The sad story of Blanche was headline news across France, accompanied by the shocking photos of her skeletal body. It was seen as a miracle that she had survived, despite the barbaric treatment she'd suffered. Blanche remained in a psychiatric hospital in Blois, and although she was well cared for, she was never able to overcome her mental illness. Both Blanche and Marcel died in 1913. The saddest part of Blanche's story was that so many people failed her. It was eventually revealed that several people knew about her situation, including her hired carers and a doctor, but they chose to keep quiet. It was never discovered exactly who wrote the letter to the police, alerting them to Blanche's situation. But it is clear that without that letter, Blanche would probably have died in her tiny prison. André Gide used Blanche's story as the basis for his novel, La Sequestrée de Poitiers. In his book, published in 1930, a young woman is held captive by her mother because she didn't approve of her daughter's love. If there's a happy ending to this story, it is simply that Blanche was eventually rescued and able to live out the rest of her life in peace and comfort. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and comment down your views in below section, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel.